Check 1, 2.
Well, hello there, boyfriend. How are you this fine day?
I'm really good.
Is it working?
Yes.
Excellent. Let's not touch shit.
I'm afraid to ask, but I have a great question.
I don't even know what I was going to say. I'm so disturbed right now.
This is Afraid to Ask with Dr. Erica and Jamie. Last time we left, we were talking about, I was sort of saying that I feel like as you get older, you find out almost everything is bad for you. And so I changed it from when I said it before. I said
I'm glad we
bad
paused so that you could.
But I feel like so many things are bad for you. And they always try to scare you about coffee, you know, like, but I feel like the balance does tilt towards coffee being good for you if you want to drink it. That's my Huberman Lab summary where he puts all the studies next to each other. You drink coffee. I drink coffee. I think we're good with it.
I have a very easy answer for you, but continue. What other things did you dig up?
No, I'm holding off what I'm upset about. That's bad for me. Oh. What is your easy answer? What do you mean about coffee?
Moderation. It's so easy.
You know what I'm not good at?
You can oversimplify all of that. If you moderate your intake of anything.
I don't have that. I don't do that.
Other than cyanide, you should be okay. Like, seriously, think about it. Too much water, you can actually die from. Too little water, you can die from. A moderate amount, whatever we've decided is a safe amount of intake, healthy. And there's quite a lot of deviation.
I know, but I'm not
if you
good at that.
Moderate.
I don't moderate. I do everything. You know me. I order a coffee with 2 shots of espresso in it. I go all the way with everything. Well,
again, though, I mean, look at really bad stuff. I'm not going to say cocaine in moderation is okay.
Right.
But
you never had
sugar in moderation?
A little cocaine with dinner?
No, I've never had cocaine.
I wonder if you could I think it's too addictive to do socially. Like, I wonder if you did cocaine just like once a month or something, a little bit. It'd probably be okay, but no one does it. You can't do it. It's too addictive. That's the problem. Moderation gets thrown out the window when you mix in addiction.
Well, of course.
Sucks.
But that's also limiting your ability to self-moderate with an addictive personality.
Wow.
It takes that factor out. It's not like you can discern for yourself how much would be safe. You're just doing it because your body's craving it, and often you don't have control over that. Sadly.
What's the least healthiest thing that you do?
That I personally do, or that anyone in general does?
You personally. Least healthy habit. What is something, though, that...
Oh, that I do perform.
Maybe something that you actually do, whether it's like a food or
my choice of inactivity. The least healthy thing that I do? Well, I intentionally don't sleep 7 to 8 hours every night.
Okay, good answer.
That's a really bad one.
Just last night, I was thinking about our differences. It increases
sleep.
What?
Well, if you don't sleep at the proper time, so your adrenal glands, they sit right above your kidneys. That's your fight or flight kind of hormone releasers with cortisol.
Right. I'm all fight, by the way.
Great. I'm going to move my chair a little bit away from you. So these glands love to rest, right? But if you're going to bed at midnight or later, they usually start to be most active between 2 and 4 in the morning. So the problem is you never give it time to reset, rebuild. And so it almost feels like they're working graveyard shift. They're working overtime and exhausted themselves. And they spit off all this cortisol at first, like, oh my God, my body's in distress. That's when people basically have a very difficult time losing weight. They can be angry. They can be really stressed out. They feel like they're just out of control. And then all of a sudden you can't make anymore. You burn it out and then you crash. So this is a long pathway.
Why do you do that?
Oh, I don't intentionally do it for that reason.
Oh, but I mean, are you worried about that? Because I was thinking last night, we have a problem with sleeping. We have different sleep procedures, ways to get sleep. Erica likes to do this thing where she'll go, she goes, hey, let's like talk or something about stuff. And I go, okay. And then she'll be like, oh, we should do this next year and whatever. And then she goes, what do you think? And I'll go, and then you're like, like when I start talking, it's immediately fall asleep. Every story I tell you at night ends with, I'm talking to myself, right?
Well, why do parents tell their children bedtime stories? Maybe it's soothing. You know, I thought it was very interesting when we read that article about how spouses fall asleep, and women in particular fall asleep so much more soundly when they're next to their partner because they feel safe. It's almost like they're allowed to just relax. Mm-hmm. And it's true. I hear a random noise outside, and if you're not home, I'm like, But like when I'm with you, it's almost like I let myself go to a deeper level immediately. Kind of like when I space off when we're traveling or driving and I don't pay attention. I'm like, he's got this. It's not that I'm trying to be aloof and like leave you to do all the hard work. It's more like my brain can finally just relax for a little bit. It's nice.
That makes sense.
But sleep disruption is extremely dangerous for overall performance.
Not sleep bad.
Well,
but even
it
last night,
increases your risk for mood disorder, right? Increases your stress potential, substantially decreases your immunological response. Your body's immune system needs rest to regenerate. So if you're chronically sleep deprived, you have a much higher rate of getting illnesses, getting sick, getting exposed to stuff. You're not fighting off stuff as good.
Also,
as well.
You know how you can like...
I can't even speak well because I didn't sleep great last night.
I understood. But yeah, so as a non-doctor person, a regular person, I think there are times when we can feel like you don't even need to read a book that tells you got to sleep 7 or 8 hours. You feel weird after you sleep 5 hours, right? Like you wake up and you're like, huh. But I feel like you and some other doctors have this little special gear of being tired, because last night, for instance, it was 1 a.m. and you were like, I'm wide awake. We should like chat. And I was thinking, and I go, what time do we have to get up? And you're like 6:30. And I immediately thought, if we don't go to sleep right now, I can't podcast because it's only 5 hours. But I think you don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, well, residency was brutal, and I do think that it trained my body to get used to a lack of sleep or completely absent sleep for a couple of days. You always crash at a certain point, but I do have the ability to fall asleep a lot quicker because I had to on demand when I was on call and I had like an hour.
Yeah.
I would pass out and then wake up and go about stuff, you know? So I think it's not a good thing. Well, military sleep training too, right? That's a thing where they have techniques to help them even in like very high stress areas with like war zones, like actually like in an area of like bombs. Isn't there a training where they can train people to be able to like subconsciously shut off the anxiety, the fear, the noise, so they can quickly get to sleep?
I don't know about this, but I'm interested. I'd love to.
I don't want to misspeak, but I read about it somewhere. It was a while ago.
Well, many powerful people, including, I heard Hillary Clinton talking about that. They don't sleep very much, and they do like these really short power naps, like 7 minutes. Like there are videos of almost every powerful person with their eyes closed. Like you see, like Biden, people go, this guy's asleep. A lot of people take these short little power naps. I take I'm a big fan of the 7-minute recharging power nap. Isn't it weird how your body knows sometimes? Like sometimes you're so tired, you go to a coffee shop and you think to yourself, if I drink this coffee, it's not going to help. It's not going to help. I'm so tired. But I feel like you just, you don't have that as much.
Well, I hate napping because I often wake up to an alarm, which in general we try to advise people not to do.
I often wake up to a grouchy person when you nap.
Not often, always. That is an absolute. But what we always try to teach people is you should try to fall asleep at the same time every night, wake up at the same time every day to train your body. It's going to get in a natural rhythm. Like think about it. When you wake up and you're like, and you're in the middle of the dream or something and you're exhausted. And there's other times where you wake up without an alarm and you're like, I'm ready to go. Even if it's an hour or 2 hours before you needed to wake up, but you're wired, ready to go. Your body's naturally able to adjust to certain things.
It's just life though, man. There's life.
Well,
kids don't care.
Schedules aren't always routine and regimented, and that's difficult. But those things that we have, the watches, either an Apollo watch or another sleep tracker watch, the ones that will slowly vibrate and wake you up, blow my mind. There's apps on phones to do it too, where they will slowly vibrate and wake you up. They'll track your breathing rate and how much movement they've detected in your bed. You put it in your under your mattress. I did that and did it only for like a week.
I did too.
Trial.
I loved it. Why don't we do that anymore? It was amazing. It wakes you up during a certain sleep cycle. Like you put in, I want to wake up at 8:30, and it gives you a pocket of a half hour.
8:30, and it will wake you up to 30 to 60 minutes prior, but it won't wake you up after, so you won't oversleep for work.
We should stay up late tonight and figure out how to do that.
I felt amazing when that happened. Does that count for the worst thing that I do?
Yeah, that's a good answer.
But I'm not actively doing something. I guess the worst thing I do health-wise is I eat a lot of gummy bears.
I think it's okay.
Well,
we don't have a lot of vices.
I have a very high sugar intake occasionally.
Yeah, 3 times a day.
No. It's just whenever I go to Costco and they have really good gummy bears.
You do. I remember I bought you cinnamon gummy bears once because I knew you like cinnamon gummy bears.
They stood no chance.
And you go, you really seriously go like, thank you so much. This is so sweet. Don't ever do this again. Yeah. And then you just handed me an empty plastic bag.
Yes.
Guess what I heard is bad for me?
What?
Dark chocolate. I've read nothing But have you ever had dark chocolate versus regular chocolate? Regular chocolate's better. As you start to eat dark chocolate, you start to prefer it.
Does it have to do with renal impacts?
Renal impacts?
Kidneys?
That happened to my friend once, renal impact. The seat fell off his bike. Is that the same thing?
What?
What's a renal?
Kidney function.
Oh, sorry. No, I don't know, but it says it has heavy metals in it.
Yeah.
But...
So filtration.
Who gives a shit? Isn't it,
Well, wouldn't that
apple seeds have, what's it called in them? Just a little bit? Arsenic?
Arsenic?
So who cares?
With dark chocolate, though, cacao beans are heavily sprayed.
Sorry,
that's how you pronounce it.
It is, but every time someone says cacao, I think about, it was a movie with Jack Black. I don't remember what it was, and he's trying to get the other guy's attention. He's like, hey, cacao. And the guy won't turn around. He's like, hey, he just yells at him. Anyway, you're saying it correctly.
What I'm saying is that is one of the highest pesticide sprayed crops of all. Grapes, coffee bean plants, so you won't make fun of me again, are two very heavily sprayed crops. So you're getting then toxins that way. And then you look at the soil. So it's very important that you, if you can afford it and you can research out places that have really good fair trade organizations, and then they're not reutilizing the soil in a way that's dangerous to other crop transplantation. I think that's very important. So you're not like stripping minerals and then growing things that don't have the minerals that you need, and you're not polluting it with any toxins into the environment either. Did you know if you spray coffee, well, anything, with certain types of pesticides, you can get xenoestrogens, which are basically fake estrogens?
You just asked me. You said, did you know? And then you said all those words. No, I didn't know that.
Well,
I didn't know that.
I'm trying to.
You gotta tell me.
So
I don't know.
You can get fake estrogen-like chemicals in your body.
Was this when my son was eating the garbanzo beans and you told him not to?
So chickpeas and like soybeans are very high in estrogen components. So certain foods that you ingest, if you ingest a lot of them, again, moderation, knock yourself out with some hummus, but don't go crazy on it.
Could you save money on a breast augmentation by eating a lot of chickpeas if you're a woman, or it only works?
It would increase your estrogen in your bloodstream, and estrogen is stored in fat cells, and so you could have a little bit of developing gynecomastia or breast tissue developing in a male, but you absolutely would not have a full augmented breast. Mm-hmm. Like a woman would never.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yams are also high in estrogen.
See, this is exactly my point, though.
What?
Yams have been touted as a superfood for years.
They are.
And now it's like, oh, enjoy your breasts, healthy guy.
That's ridiculous.
Every single thing. Name one thing that they don't take from us.
You would have to have such a high amount that you consume and ingest before you would have any negative side effects or adverse effects from that.
Let me ask you this, though.
So again, my answer from the very beginning just gave you everything you need to know. Moderation, except for arsenic and cocaine.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Don't do.
If yams, etc. Well, there was one other we talked about recently.
I like a sweet potato. I hate it when we have like a similar thing with two names.
High glycemic index, sweet potatoes.
Not
low glycemic index? Which is the good one? Shit. Don't they have
I'm not going to answer that.
Low glycemic index. Yeah, I'm going to say it's got to be low. But that's the good one. It's supposed to be good. Anyway.
Yes. Good job.
Here's my problem.
What?
If you drink... Remember we were talking about how you could die from coffee? We'll get to that in a second. But if you're telling me yams can cause breast tissue, but then afterwards you're like, oh, but you have to eat 1,000 of them. Why are we telling people this? Like, why are we even bringing it up if someone would have to eat 20 yams? Can't we just keep it to ourselves? Like, why are they telling me about
because it's
this
fascinating.
Dark chocolate?
The human body is fascinating.
But I don't think they're doing it out of fascination.
Beta carotene, carrots. If you eat too much, your skin will turn a yellow orangish hue.
But I'm not saying it's not interesting. I'm saying when I read about it, for instance, the dark chocolate article,
licorice
it said,
can turn your poop colors.
Yeah,
so can Pepto-Bismol. And beets can turn your urine bright red.
Let me tell you what I'm saying.
But that doesn't mean that you're having a problem.
So this is what I'm saying, though. I'm saying the problem with clickbait and wanting to get clicks is, say you had to add... Well, that's weird. I thought I muted that son bitch. This is my problem with it, though. The articles I read, like this says, lead and cadmium could be in your dark chocolate and could be dangerous. That's not somebody going, if you have 1,000 yams, you can get this. Isn't that fascinating? That's them going, hey, read this list of the worst dark chocolates and you should stop eating them.
Okay, so is it brand specific?
Yeah.
Because that's based on the manufacturer and the supply and when they're getting and where they're getting their cacao and how they're processing it.
It's a lot of ones we like, though.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Trader Joe's. Ghirardelli.
That one doesn't surprise me.
But it's high end. It's expensive.
It doesn't. No. You have to look at exactly where their crops are.
Beyond Good. Equal Exchange. These are pretty good. Alter Ego.
All right. That sucks.
This is also... Oh, that one's not as bad. It's got a little bit. It's got 204% of your daily required cadmium. A little bit of lead. But it's just a little bit. I think... Can I make what I think? Theo, that's a good brand. Lily's is in there. Green and Blacks is in there for a few. I think that they're just trying to get us to read their article, and it doesn't really affect us. Is that safe to say?
Does it give the quantity?
Yes, but I don't have my glasses on. So it says it does. It has highest in cadmium, and then it has a percentage, but I don't. Below CR, what are CR levels? What are CR levels? Oh, California's maximum allowable dose. So it is regulated. They're just telling us that these ones are towards the higher end.
I always think it's weird when you go to California and see that sign that's like, warning, this building could cause cancer, and it's on everything. It's like a blanket label on everything. So it almost doesn't dissuade you because it's everywhere.
Interesting you brought that up. I wish that we could
regulate it more to really give a warning when it's due and not just because it's enforced everywhere.
It's also like, what building is it? Like if you're going to court or you're going to the police station, are you not going to go in the building because it might cause cancer?
It's kind of like the sign that says employees must wash their hands before they go back to making your food. I don't really think a lot of them do it. What's the sign going to do?
I was at Jiffy Lube once.
I don't even need to know where we're going to go with this.
I was at Jiffy Lube once, and in the bathroom, it goes, hey, employees must wash their hands before return to work. I go, do I care if this guy's ball germs are on my engine? Of all places. Have at it, buddy. Right? I don't care if there's a little bit of feces on my spark plugs.
Why are you saying ball germs? What do you do in the bathroom with your balls?
Oh, I don't know. It depends how much time I have.
Please don't answer that, actually.
Speaking of warnings on buildings.
Gross.
Did you know? You know how this is an unpopular opinion, and I always get people saying they don't like it because people like their drinks. But you know how I always say that booze, because I used to smoke cigars, don't anymore. Thanks to you, Dr. Erica. But when I used to smoke cigars, people would often tell, I know they're not as bad as cigarettes, but people would tell me like those are bad for you, whatever. And then nobody wants to hear it. But all the studies point to drinking not even that much. We won't get into the big alcohol thing, but drinking not even that much can be as harmful as a pack of cigarettes a week. And a lot of people are like, that's bullshit because they don't want to hear it. But did you hear that, speaking of warnings, the Surgeon General is going to start putting cancer warnings on booze labels?
No.
So almost like you have on your cigarette, it's going to be on your drink. You know, my thought, no one gives a shit. People still smoke. Warnings are on there.
Well, I do like how they did a targeted approach to mass marketing for tobacco products in other countries. Have you seen some of the advertisements? It's like a full picture of like someone with a tracheotomy, someone with a black lung, like a cadaver lung. Like it's morbid pictures on the packs of cigarettes. So
they do that in Canada.
So young,
but these
children
Canadians are so. Yeah, I love that stuff.
Will see it and see the picture and be like, ugh. So the goal is to stop someone from ever starting in the first place, right?
That is really funny you just brought that up. So it said they're going to do a little something similar with drinking. They're going to do, it says they're going to put a warning and then a picture of a guy banging like a girl he wouldn't normally bang because he's drunk. And then in another picture of a guy eating a pizza with no shirt on.
No.
And so they're like, this could lead to that. So that's good. Stuff that could happen.
Well, they're reversing it. Remember how vaping was all these like fun candy flavors and fruit flavors,
trying
to appeal to youth, which is complete nonsense. I mean, it's not nonsense. It's very irritating.
It's like, yeah.
So the mass marketing flip-flopped it, and now they're trying to be very visual and disgusting and forcing those labels. But we don't do that in America.
Well, and here's my other question.
We have words. We don't have visuals. And I think the visual really catches kids off guard and says, whoa, I don't want that.
I couldn't agree more. Canada still has crazy pictures on their cigarettes. Canadians are so tough and they have such good health care. They don't care. They go, hey, give me those are my cigarettes, the black lungs. Yeah. Hand me those ones. And like, oh, exploding heart. Is that your brand?
Well,
they don't care.
I think as we've talked about before, it's pretty interesting how like Gen Z has a substantially decreased rate of alcohol consumption compared to previous generations.
I think that's cool.
So you're kind of cutting off what the behavior is before it starts.
But are we if we're not? This is just a label. And my point is like, who gives a shit?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The people who are currently drinking aren't going to stop.
And will anybody that wasn't going to stop because there's just some words on there? This is not that.
I don't know that words would make a huge difference.
I don't
Perhaps
either.
a few, but it's a step. You know what I thought was a very, very strong step that our government.
Strong step.
I can phrase it differently if you didn't.
I'm just thinking. I like the way. I love the way you use it. I'm trying to figure it out. What was a strong step? Was this with cigarettes?
Yeah.
Was it not allowing them to smoke on TV or movies?
Well, that was wonderful, especially when often characters were smoking pipes in cartoons. No, what I really liked is when drugstores removed all tobacco products and put them behind the counter, so you had to actually ask for them, almost like a pharmacy. And then a lot of drugstores took it further and just refused to sell tobacco products altogether and only sold nicotine assistance, kind of like anti-smoking patches or gums or things like that. So why would a drugstore sell cigarettes?
You just blew my mind, because normally when we come up with something that they used to do and they changed, it's usually me because I'm older. But you just made me remember, you used to be able to buy cigarettes in vending machines at almost every bar without talking to anybody. You just put like $10 into a thing.
And think about how in a lot of places now you can't even smoke in bars.
Did you know that when I started doing stand-up comedy, we talked about this weekend, I remember when there, in a lot of like photography of like boxing events or even like baseball, like back in the day, like a lot of the photography has like a blue haze. It's the cigarette smoke because people used to smoke. So in a lot of like, there's one Ali whatever picture that's really famous that has a haze and smoke because everyone's smoking. And I remember in comedy, you could smoke like at the show, like people always smoked at the shows. And I remember when they implemented the non-smoking show, it was a huge deal. They would go, hey, Friday early, Saturday early, we're going to be non-smoking. I mean, the other comics would be like, this sucks, dude. These people are... It was like the bad show because people weren't as fun. It used to be, we were like, God, they're not letting people smoke.
Really?
People used to leave to smoke. They weren't as like... The smokers were associated with the drinkers. And so those smoking shows used to be... We loved them. And we would get so worried about the non-smoking shows. And then... Same thing kind of happened to me with young people. I used to go into a room and if it was all old people, I'd be like, I'm screwed, dude. There's too many old people here. And now if I see young people, I'm like, I don't know what to tell these people. I need old people. But yeah, I remember they used to have, non-smoking and smoking shows.
Do you remember going to restaurants and being like smoking or non-smoking section? Like that really made a difference?
Yeah.
Because it's not like it's two different buildings.
Same with comedy clubs. They would do that sometimes.
I really like how airports used to have like a little section where you could smoke, and now a lot of airports got rid of that.
Almost every airport except for Vegas.
We're eliminating a very dangerous behavior.
Yeah, not to get too into it, but I read this non-smoking book about how it was the non-drinking book. That guy, Alan Carr. But it's fascinating how, like, if you stop smoking, it only takes like 24 hours before the actual physical addiction to go out of your body. And they keep talking about how interesting it is that when smokers are just walking around in their daily life, they got to smoke pretty much like once an hour. Like a pack of cigarettes is the exact amount of cigarettes that's about how many hours you're awake during the day, because it leaves your body. You smoke another one, it leaves your body. Like a pack is exactly what they want you to smoke every day. But they noticed that smokers that smoked every hour, when they got on airplanes, they just like didn't smoke for 6 hours. Can't smoke on an airplane. And it's not like you see smokers on New York to LA airplanes like, God, I'm dying, like I'm freaking out. It's something with the mental when you know you can't. They're just like, you just don't smoke for 6 hours. It's very mental. But anyway, we're in favor of Yeah. I am a little happy, though. I think I might have even called you from an airport. And I was like, it's so crazy. There's all these cigarettes and there's all these big signs that say causing cancer. And then beside it, they're like, hey, Christmas whiskey. It's got a bow on it. It's a gift set. And I remember being kind of mad. Like, I always think about my son. My son sees this, what goes into his mind. Like, I know all this crap because I'm older. But I just always think about, like, kids that they, so maybe it's good. It's a good start.
Maybe in 20 to 30 years, alcohol will be phased out like tobacco has been.
Yeah, could be. Like, you're still allowed to do it, but just a lot of people don't. So, next time on Afraid to Ask, I have a couple of things I want to tell you about. There was this is a bit of old news.
Oh.
But the government is asking people they had to report 5 things they did last week. And some of them are not responding and getting fired. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, what did COVID do as far as contributing to people working from home, and how much of it are people, so we'll talk about that next time, but how much are people taking advantage of this versus how great is that? In some instances, telemedicine, for instance, it's unbelievable. It's one of the greatest things ever. And comedy,
you have a problem with people abusing it, just like everything else.
And
the jerks out there ruin it for everyone else. But you can't trust people working hard because a couple slackers screwed us all over.
That's right. Next time on Afraid to Ask.
Jerks.
Coming up on the next episode of Afraid to Ask. I see the housekeeper. I go, could I get a couple towels? I had a lady just the other day. I was going to sneak it. And she saw me and she goes, child, take whatever you want. Anything you want. Coffee. I was like, that's very sweet. Why are we sneaking? Do you think we should just... There is something about that.
Why, though? It's not like we're being, like, wasteful. If we need something, we're taking it. And we're doing them a service by not calling and being like they've already left the floor, they're somewhere else, and we're like, we need this.
You're also doing them a service
saving them time.
And if you take towels, sometimes they go, do you want your room cleaned? You go, nah, I'm good with these towels. So sometimes they're saving a little...
I still think it's polite to clean up for housekeepers, though.
It's very polite. It just never occurred to me. I just don't have the time sometimes. I walk in,
they don't need to see in the trash.
You're mopping the floor. I'm like, all right.
I don't mop the floor.
I think this lady's going to do it.